What's up? My name is Ingrid. I kind of wanted to post a video about something I've had to struggle with. I don't want to say all my life, but something I did start struggling with recently in the past couple of years. Oh my god, my hair is a mess, y'all. But I was really inspired to record this and post this after I was trying to write something. I'm a writer. I do freelance writing for publications such as Fox News, Cosmopolitan Magazine, Complex Magazine, and I've been having like writer's block, I guess you can call it. And so, even though the type of writing I don't do for them, the type of writing I do for them is not like what I'm going to talk about in this video. I find that thinking about who you are and thinking about, yourself for a minute, just taking that time to just think about you, the person, like just taking everything else out of your mind, but just see you as a person, it really helps to better you and to make you feel better at the end of the day. And then that way you can accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. And yeah, so one of the things that I've had to deal with is depression. And I was just curious because again, I'm a professional writer. So I've been trying to really strengthen, yeah, strengthen my social media presence online. So I was, bettering my Twitter, my Instagram, and I'm like, well, I haven't posted a video, and I know a lot of people, post videos and they talk about themselves, and it really helps not only themselves but other people. So I kind of wanted to try that because if you look through some of my other channels, all you're going to see are videos I had to do for school for my journalism degree. So this is the first video that I'm posting. As you can see, I'm in a sweater. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been trying to write, so I haven't really been sleeping a lot recently. And even though I'm from Texas, so it's really hot over here, I'm in a big hoodie, but whatever, whatever works. But anyway, so my story with depression started when I was in college. I graduated from college almost a year ago, May 2015. And since then, I've been having a lot of good and bad life experiences, I guess. After, like I mentioned, I'm from Texas, so afterwards, I moved to New York to pursue a magazine career. Um, Through that, and we can talk about that in another video because I know y'all are probably thinking, when is she gonna get to the point? So yeah, but basically there was a lot of issues with that, and now I'm back in Texas, you know, writing applications and trying to again do more freelance to get my name out there and go back to New York. I really miss New York, especially if you're seeing this at a later time. This was recorded in December around Christmas time, so I really, really miss, not being able to see that. Of course, we all know New York during the holidays is incredible. So, yeah. But anyway, my point, that was good and bad. And then moving back, of course, I had to, come to the realization that I needed to move back. And yeah, just trying to get out there again. That's basically what I've been going through. But the reason why, like I mentioned, I moved to pursue a magazine career, but that dream started since I was little. I remember in sixth grade in my English class, we had to write like diaries, or not diaries, journals every day. And I am never going to forget, and I even saved it. I don't know where it is now, but I saved it. Where we were asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? And even though we get asked that a lot, I don't know why during that moment, during that diary, I took it really seriously and I wrote, I want to write for Rolling Stone magazine. And after that, I saved it for a while, for a couple of years actually. I used to be really into saving stuff, saving memories, saving notes. My friends and I would always write notes to each other. That's a lost art nowadays. Um, so I really, really love saving those things. But through the years, of course, my parents would always say, stop hoarding. So I know, again, that paper that said I want to write for Rolling Stone. It's somewhere, but I haven't seen it in a while. But it happened. I wrote, I want to work for Rolling Stone magazine. And that's always something that I kept in my mind since then. I remember I used to tell my English teacher, I used to write little poems and little songs, and I would be like, hey, can you please check this out and tell me what you think? And they would always be nice because they had to, but they were horrible. But in my mind, I was like, okay, these are slow but sturdy steps into becoming a writer. Once I got to high school, I don't know where you're from or your age or whatever, but in high school I took all AP classes, so advanced classes, and that's when I first started getting discouraged about becoming a writer. I had a really mean but helpful at the same time because he made me love writing even more. But he was really mean, and whenever I said, I'm never gonna forget, it was 11th grade, and I said I want to be a writer. I'm gonna study journalism in college, and he was like, like that nervous laugh, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to study. And to make a long story short, he just basically discouraged me and really tried to get across that he didn't think I was necessarily cut out for that. Um, and being that he was an amazing English professor, and I really respected him a lot for what he taught us about literature and writing in general. But that again, that stayed in my mind, and I'm the type of person that likes proving people wrong. So I was like, okay, well, saying that just makes me want it even more. So when I applied to college, I didn't even have a second choice. In Texas, they ask you for your top two choices. I just said I had journalism, and my second choice, I think I put something very random like engineering or something like that. Because it was journalism all the way. I knew that, or I think personally, maybe some people would say otherwise. I don't think I'm that creative, but at the end of the day, I knew that I couldn't necessarily study English or creative writing because I felt like I wouldn't be able to have a career afterwards if I studied something like that. And then I also couldn't picture myself writing a book or like making a future out of writing books or teaching. Even though that's changed a little bit, which I'll get to later, but that's why I said journalism, and I'm a very shy person, so I felt like I had no journalism experience going into college, but I felt like studying that would break me out of my shell, because I'm one of those people that once you get to know me, I'm very out there, but if I don't know you that well and we're barely getting to know each other, it's hard for me to trust you. And I know that's not necessarily a good thing, but yeah, I'll admit it. I don't want to say I have trust issues, but I guess again I'm shy until I can feel like I trust you. But anyway, going back to my chronological story, to the backstory to getting into the depression thing. So yeah, so I said, oh, I'm going to study journalism. I got into school I got into college right away. Um, and then, well, before I start with the college part, I also want to mention, during middle school and high school, I was a straight A student. I got really good grades. I had my small but really good. Well, I still have my small but really good, group of best friends who are going to be bridesmaids at my wedding, and that I love, and that I can talk to about anything. But I like what I'm trying to get at is I had a really good middle school and high school experience, but something I always didn't understand, and maybe this is like a hippie. I think it's a little hippie, but I didn't get the idea behind grades. Um, because I have really, well, you don't know, but I have really smart siblings. I'm the youngest of two, well, three in total, older brother and older sister and me. So growing up, they would always, set the bar high. They would get good grades. They would get accolades and awards. And then I always felt like it wasn't forced upon me, but I always felt like there was nothing else. They did it, so I have to, know. Um, and I'm never going to forget when that changed. And it also happened in sixth grade, actually. I had a really, really, really good friend. And then at one point, and then after this argument, maybe it isn't maybe it was an argument. After what happened, I feel like it was, but I don't know. You can call it a conversation, an argument, whatever. But after speaking with him, it was just a normal conversation. But then I started talking to him about how I was worried about a certain grade, and he was just like, why do you have to worry about that? You always worry about grades. Why can't you just enjoy the moment? Again, I don't necessarily remember how. It was just a long conversation, but I don't remember how we got to that point. And after that, we just stopped talking. And this person, this was in sixth grade, and so we went to the same school and had a lot of the same classes. And after that, in middle school and then high school, and then we even went to the same college. Obviously, in college, I rarely saw him, but it was just weird because I I don't know. I really, again, I still have that. That was years ago. But that's still in my head because I never felt like I wasn't living in the moment. Like I felt like getting good grades and being a perfectionist basically was what I had to do. I felt like that was normal, but to him, like he made me realize like it's not about that. It's not about being a perfectionist, and it's not about being, the best at everything, because who really can tell you you're the best at something? At the end of the day, if you're striving for a medal, that's just it's an object. It can't talk. It's not going to do anything else but just stay somewhere, and then years later you're just going to forget about it. And then if you're trying to get somebody to tell you that you're perfect, they're not the only person in the world, and not everyone is going to think that you're perfect or the best. So at the end of the day, awards and getting that acceptance from somebody, it's in the world. But again, anyway, and it kind of goes against what I'm going to say later. But yeah, um, I've always had that in my mind, and when he said that, that's when things switched. And I don't know if it was because I missed his friendship afterwards, but I don't want to say I stopped caring, but I stopped trying to be perfect. And because of that, like I said, I had a really good middle school and high school experience. I was able to really focus more on that. And I guess you could say I was naturally smart or whatnot, because then, I wouldn't necessarily have to try that hard to still be getting A's and B's. So that was the first glimpse into realizing, what my future problems were going to be. So somebody that I don't want to say loved, because it was just a friend, but somebody that I really admired, I guess. Getting that opinion, like, again, it's always stuck to me. And then the same person, like I said, we stopped talking, but well, not months, a few weeks after that, the other thing that I'm never gonna forget, and it still affected me later, was when that person, and again, we were in middle school, so this was a petty, middle school conversation. When that person was like, "Oh, like this is easy for you," like obviously it was just a group of people, and it was just like, again, in a group setting, when he was like, "Yeah, it's easy for you, you're not struggling with that class, blah 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 blah." And like I mentioned, I stopped, again, trying to be perfect, so I wasn't really doing well in that class that we were talking about. But again, that always stuck with me because I felt like I needed to start trying to be perfect, because that was what was that was what was expected of me. Even though at the same time, the same person made me realize that being perfect wasn't everything. But I don't want to say he saw me like I was perfect, but I felt like people by that time knew me as somebody who, did well and strived to be the best and being perfect. So while I started realizing that perfection was in everything, at the same time, I felt like it was everything that other people thought I was. So I felt like my place in, I don't want to say society, but my place in my friend group, or in my peer group, was that person who was like, that perfectionist, or we were in middle school, that nerd, that person. So I started like that. That's always, it really didn't affect me school wise. Like I didn't feel like, I didn't feel like it went back to the grades, like, oh, I need to get hundreds and A pluses. But it stuck with me that people expect me to be the best. People expect me to be perfect. So that's something that led to the depression a few years later, which goes into college. When I went to college, I went to the University of Texas at Austin. Um, the people who went there, I barely even spoke to. Again, I took advanced classes in high school. So those people, like, obviously we knew each other, and whatnot, but they weren't, my specific friend group. Like, I had my own friends, and I don't want to say they didn't take advanced classes either, but just scheduling electives and whatnot, I was in more classes with the people who went to the same school as I did than the people who didn't. So in college, when people say like, "Oh, you like, yeah, I'm here with a lot of people from my high school and whatnot," technically I was, but they weren't people who were gonna talk to me. And yeah, as bad as it sounds, I wasn't a person that was gonna talk to them. Like, it wasn't anything bad per se. It was just, we never really clicked, understood each other like that, whatever. So my first year in college, it was like as if I was in a small remote school with nobody. Like, I basically didn't know anybody. And my first semester, that was basically my experience. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm really shy. So I struggled trying to, find that close knit friend group. Like I mentioned that, I had in middle school and high school, I struggled because that's what I was used to. I was used to having that close knit group. And I know that's probably not something uncommon. And it was just like I was taken out of that environment. Like, I didn't have to try. And I to rephrase myself, or to explain myself a little further, not only did I not have to try, school wise or education wise, like with friends, I was in marching band too. So I was always with people. And it was just weird. I was just, again, since I guess because like I said, I'm shy until I get to know you. It was just weird not not having, and I feel like I'm sounding a little conceited, but it was weird just not having people there anymore, because I never had that problem. um and yeah, like, I never knew how much I I was a perfectionist, or I had those acceptance issues, until my first semester of college, because every time I tried to, be open with people and try to find those connections again, I went back to my head, to that place where, well, no, you're supposed to be perfect. And then I was seeing all these people. I guess another thing is also culture shock. I was seeing all these people who, in my eyes, were perfect. Like, all those little skinny uh, sorority girls, and all those, I don't know what's the word, frat guys, and people with money, and people with, all these group of friends, and again, I wasn't used to that, and I never had to think about being perfect around people who I knew, because I never had to try. Again, I never had to try. The only battle with perfection that I had was with myself. And now I felt like that battle wasn't only with myself, but it was with everybody around me. And that's something that we always struggle with when it comes to depression, because we feel like we can't tell anybody that we're depressed, because it's that battle. We take it, instead of going back to ourselves, I don't want to say we take it out on everybody, but we say, that person's not going to accept me because I'm depressed, or they're not going to accept me because I'm shy, or I have anxiety, or I have bipolar disorder, whatever you might have, or you might think you have, or you might think somebody has. That's a really strong factor in depression that we need to work on getting past. That idea that everybody, for lack of better words, it's out, that everyone's out to get us. Because as mean as it sounds, the battle's not with other people, the battle's with yourself when it comes to depression. And I recently, I was online. Well, I'm always, again, going back to the journalism thing, I'm always online, and I saw a certain celebrity. I'm not going to mention their name because I don't know how many views this is going to get, and nowadays on social media. But yeah, this certain celebrity posted a quote on their Twitter, basically saying, you choose to be happy. But and then a lot of people were saying, no, like when you're depressed, you can't choose. Like it's something that you need to fight to achieve and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Like when you're depressed, you can't just tell your brain, oh, be happy, boom, and it happens. So going back to my point, that battle it's not with everyone around you, it's with yourself. It's again, it's something with yourself that you need to be comfortable with first in order to be comfortable with around everyone else, if that makes sense. Going back to the celebrity quote, it's sort of true, but to a certain extent. You have to be comfortable with yourself in order to not fully be fixed, but to fully be living, so you can get the help of others. So you need to be comfortable with yourself in order to be comfortable with yourself around others. It starts internally. So going back to my first semester in college, I struggled. I in my eyes, these people weren't gonna like me. I didn't have the right hair. I didn't have the right body weight. I was Latina, and these people weren't gonna want to be friends with a Latina. And as absurd as those things sound, it really, really got to me. Like I'm trying to find the words to explain how idiotic, how stupid I was being. That I thought people weren't gonna like me because again I have crooked teeth, or again bad hair or whatever. But because of that, I started going to a therapist at my school. Oh, damn it! Now that I think about it, but because I want to say something about those therapists, but you're gonna know who they are, but whatever. Oh well. But yeah, I started going to this therapist, and the woman who I started seeing, I remember like I used to tell her everything. Like at first I struggled with opening up because it's like when you first go. I don't know if you've gone already, or when you first go, like it's like, okay, I'm gonna talk to a stranger about all my problems, and I only have an hour to do it. I know in some places only 30 minutes. I only have an hour to talk to them, and I'm supposed to be fixed. But what do I have to say? What if they say something I don't like? Am I supposed to be crying? Like, it's like, again, it's like this peer pressure during your first therapy session. You're like, I feel like I'm being judged. But I mean, I would I would encourage you to go to therapy. Um, it's hard. It's really hard because I had that expectation, again, going back to the whole perfectionist thing. I had that expectation that this person's gonna fix me. And at my school, it's $5 per session. So I was like, these $5 are gonna be the best $5 spent because this person is gonna tell me what I need to do. Like they're gonna like when you go to confession and you feel like, oh, once you say like those Holy Marys and those prayers, like everything's gonna be okay. That's how I felt. I was just like, okay, this person's gonna fix me, yay, and then I can get on with my life. But I was just mad with myself because it wasn't only one session that I had to go to. I had to go to a session week after week. And I was like, I'm wasting money. I'm wasting time. I don't feel like this is working. Oh my God. What am I going to do? Should I just transfer schools? I'm like, what the hell? And by this point, um, my friends from back home knew, and they were just like the people getting me through that first semester. Like they were just the people again getting me through. And it was rough because again, I wasn't used to these issues, and I don't want to say I was perfect, but I had that idea in my head that yeah, like I was struggling with self assurance issues. I guess we can get to that point, yeah, self assurance issues. And I was struggling with the idea of, being perfect for myself. But I wasn't used to these things. Like, it was just hard. And then what I never realized, during that first semester and specific to therapy, that I had to try to be better. And it goes back to what I mentioned, that in order to be comfortable around others, you have to be comfortable around yourself first. They can't help you until you help yourself. They can't help you until you make that first move. Like I just expected my therapist to fix me, and I never tried to fix myself. And so I don't know how she did it, but I just remember at one point, during one session, like I actually started crying, and I was like, what the hell? Again, back to what I was saying, like, oh, this person's judging me, like, what do I need to say? I started crying, and I'm not gonna say what made me cry, but I was basically opening up about, everything, and by everything, like, it's just everything. Like, I started opening up, everything since I was born, and all the way to that point in college. And it goes back to it. And oh my God, I say it goes back to, but I feel like I'm getting my point across, or I'm telling the story well. So hopefully, but yeah, I'm saying it goes back to. But anyway, um, it goes back to that idea that I had to be perfect, and I felt like I had a good childhood. But I don't know, like, she made me realize that my issues started since I was younger, because while I felt that I was depressed, that I didn't have that support group in college, she made me realize that I had those self assurance issues, those trust issues that kept me from being happy in college. Like that my issues didn't start in college. They started beforehand. And I was just like, whoa, like mind blown. Again, I was like, I always thought I had this perfect, not life, because I'm not telling y'all everything, not the perfect life, but I had that perfect high school and middle school experience. But she made me realize, no, like, you've never been comfortable with yourself. Basically, you've always been trying to be what you think other people want you to be, and when you try to, be your true self, you don't you don't be that, because you feel like that's not what people want you to be. And again, it was just a mind blown. So another tip is, when you go to therapy, don't be afraid to open up. Don't be like, oh, I think my issue is this. Like, if you think that your issue is, you can't get over somebody you broke up with, or you have issues with your family, whatever. Don't just concentrate on that. Open up about everything, because again, it's true. Your therapist doesn't know you, and they need to know you in order to help you. Again, they're not going to give you the answer, but if you just focus on what you think the problem is, 90% of the time you're going to figure out that that wasn't the problem. And again, that's what happened to me. Once I started opening up, and so afterwards, again, I started, the session started getting better. But then I realized that, money wise, it was like, whoa. um, so she suggested doing group therapy. Um, and when it comes to group therapy, it might help you, it might not. It again goes back to your own issue. Because of me, I'll admit it. Like, I was only doing group therapy because she wanted me to, but I didn't honestly get anything out of it. Um, yeah, that's basically it. So, not saying it's not gonna help you, but you know, don't do it just because you feel like you have to. Give it a chance, and they'll tell you this once you start group therapy. Like, if you don't want to be there, just tell them. Like, they'd rather help you. They're there to help you and not to judge you. So if after a week you tell your group therapy counselor, like, hey, I feel like this isn't for me, I'm just gonna stick with, one-on-one therapy, or I'm gonna stick with meditation, yoga, whatever you might be working on, they're not going to be like, oh, they'll understand. So that's something that I should have done, but I didn't. So yeah, but the good thing was that at the same time I was still doing individual sessions with her. So that was awesome. But the thing is, once we stopped doing back to back, she started suggesting, like, oh, let's just do once a month. And for me, again, it goes back to the trust issues. I was like, wait, what? I trusted you with my life, and yeah, you gave me not the answer, but you showed me what I need to work on. But now you're saying, like, oh no, like, I felt like she was saying, like, no, I don't want to help you anymore. Like, you're on your own. And like, when you're going through depression, like, you might think that's funny, but that might happen to you. Um, and so I was like, whoa, this I started building up this trust with this person, and now she's telling me to go away, basically. But I I didn't realize it was a good thing. That it was because she saw that I was improving, and she saw, it's like training wheels. You know, you start with constant, well, not constant sounds like, boot camp, but you start with, strong counseling work, and then, it's just concrete. You start with counseling, it's concrete, and then, it gets broader. You start going less and less and less. And so you go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And so I didn't realize that was what was happening. And so again, I was mad, and I wasn't because of that. I wasn't really staying. And that I wasn't really. I stopped improving, I guess, for lack of better words. After we stopped doing back to back sessions, I started to be like, oh well, if she says it has to be this way, it's gonna be this way. I didn't feel that I was fixed, but I was like, okay, well, she's saying that this is what's gonna happen. Well, whatever. I was bitter, and I didn't see the positive in what was happening. I was just bitter. So I didn't. I was like, so what? I'm not gonna do what she told me to do. I'm not gonna be, thinking about myself, trying to better myself. Like whatever, whatever. I was just mad. But at the same time, this was already my second semester, and I met, my two best friends in college during my second semester of my first year. So at the same time, I was like, well, my counselor said that I need to go less and less, and I made my friend group, and I was like, I'm good. And it goes back to my issues that I didn't see what I was doing. I felt like it was like back to middle school and high school. I had my friend group. I'm good, but I didn't realize that my problems weren't with people. It was with me, and so I wasn't completely well with myself. But I had these friends again, that basically became family, and I was just like, okay, I'm again, I didn't think I was fixed, but I was like, okay, I don't need to do anything else, whatever. And the thing is, those feelings of, of depression were still there. The people didn't fix it. I'll admit I didn't open up to those people about depression at first. Sorry, excuse me. I felt like I needed a burp. Um, but those problems were fixed, and then um, basically that's how it ended. That semester, I was just like, oh, whatever. And then I came home during the summer, and because I didn't live in the same city as where I went to school, so I came home, and basically, the depression, it came back. Like those feelings came back because I I wasn't better, and I didn't want to accept the fact that I wasn't better. I didn't want to accept that the problem was me. That people weren't gonna fix it, or I had to fix it. Um, and so going back that next year, I it was just the same story again. Like I started, instead of thinking about the issue, instead of accepting that I was the issue, I was like, well, okay, I need to be around more people because people are gonna fix it. So I started joining all these school groups, and just being surrounding myself with people, because people are gonna fix it. People were the solution. And you know how they say, like, you can be in a crowded space but feel so alone? That was basically me. And like what happened during middle school and high school started happening again. Like, I don't want to say that I was, because I wasn't depressed in middle school and high school. I had my issues, but I wasn't depressed. But now that second year I was, because again, I was surrounded by so many people, but I was so alone because I didn't feel comfortable around those people. Even though they were people who became friends, I didn't feel comfortable because I had all those insecurities inside my head. Oh, they're not gonna accept me. Oh, if I even mention a bit about depression and counseling, they're gonna go away. And because of that, I'll be honest, like a lot of those people, like I started distancing myself. And like in college, it's a lot about networking. And I wasn't able to do that well because I wasn't able to build those relationships because of that idea of trust. That I felt like I couldn't trust these people because I couldn't trust myself. And that was where the issue lied. That was where the issue was. Like I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't. And again, I was just surrounding myself with people because I felt like it was what I had to do. And even though, again, they became friends, I wasn't taking advantage of that. I wasn't being a friend because I wasn't being myself. And so again, I was still going to therapy, and then I was so bitter. I was like, okay, well, I don't need this because now it's not fixing anything, and I'm so busy. I have this meeting to go to. I have this event to go to. These people to meet, whatever, and I just let the issue stay there. And again, I don't want to say that I had a bad college experience, but and I had a good one. Trust me, I got this shiny ring, I got my degree and whatnot. But I didn't have the best one because I I didn't let it be the best experience. I would say from okay to great. I just had an okay experience, and it wasn't because of the depression. It was because of me. Again, I was surrounded by so many people. I was getting that love, but I wasn't able to give that love, and that love, like, not now I see that I was getting that love, but that love wasn't able to be reciprocated to me because I didn't let it. I was the one blocking that from coming my way. And so I realized, like, a lot of people that I've pushed away, like, it wasn't them, like, it was me. And so if you feel that people are pushing you away, um I assure you, or not, I assure you, I I want you to think about the idea that they might not be the ones pushing you away. You might be pushing yourself away from them. Even if it doesn't seem that way because of what you're feeling inside. Again, I said I didn't want to say assure you, but I promise you it's probably that. That you're the one pushing them away. So to recap, in order to be comfortable around other people, you need to start being comfortable with yourself first in order to be able to accept that comfort from them. Again, you need to be comfortable with yourself first. You need to be open. You need to be okay with the idea of saying, like, hey, I got depression, whatever. Because once you say that you're depressed, like, it's like the whole world turns to like rainbows, like rainbows everywhere. And I know it sounds crazy, like saying that you have a problem, makes everything perfect. And I don't want to say that it makes everything perfect, but oh my god, it opens so many doors. Like suddenly, it's the elephant in the room, basically. Like a lot of people sometimes feel like there's an elephant in the room. With depression, sometimes it's hard for people to get that idea because we tend to hide those feelings and those thoughts very well, especially because with depression, a lot of times we don't open up. But it's like the elephant's out of the bag, or the cat's out of the bag, and like it's just like whoa, like mind blown, like just like what happens during therapy after you keep with it, like you come to the realization of what's going on. Like once I opened up about it, like damn man, like I'll be honest, like I haven't. And you're probably gonna be like, if you haven't opened up to like all the people who you're super close with, how are you doing this video? But the fact is, like, yeah, I still haven't, so I still need to work on this. But like the first person that I opened up to, and I'm skipping a year, but I'm skipping because if you remember, I stayed in my second year. And my telling you all my story, I stayed in my second year, and basically it was just in my third year of college. I stopped going to therapy, and then like I didn't go at all. And then my fourth year, I didn't go at all until I felt like I started like I needed to go again. Um, but that was more, again, I still had these issues with the idea of accepting myself in order to be accepted by others, which really it isn't that, but it's like accepting myself in order to feel accepted by others. My other issue was stress because, like I said, I was in a lot of clubs. I had a full no, not a full-time job, but I had a part-time job, and a lot of times I was that person that kissed up to my boss. I'll admit it. I was like, okay, I'll work those extra hours, sure, whatever you want me to do. And I had an internship, and I'm a writer, and so during the summer of my junior year, I started doing writing on the side, and so I was just really busy. So I was feeling very stressed, so that's why I wanted to go to therapy again. But then it got hard because it was like my counselor hadn't seen me in years, and with her it was usually, well, not in years, but she hadn't seen me in a long time. And with her, like, she was all like, I think I had the best one there. Like, she was like this, like, the not the vice president, but she just basically had a important role. Um, but it was just hard to schedule those appointments, and so basically, just because of scheduling, I couldn't find the time. Which, before I get to my next point, that's important. If you can't find the time, like, school is important, class is important, work is important, but you need to make the time. You need to make the time to go to counseling. You need to make the time to go, even though you feel like, oh, I need the money, or I need to study, or something's gonna happen if I don't go to class. Like, again, you're not being your full self until you accept the idea that you're not being your full self. So you need to make the time to go to counseling. I regret that, because I regret that I never made the time, because now that I'm out of school, I need to go. I don't want to say to a real therapist, but I can't use the school counselors anymore. And going to an outside one when you don't have health insurance, like, that's a bitch. And sorry for the bad word, but it's a bitch. It's expensive. So take advantage of the resources at your school. And if your school doesn't have one, or if you're not going to school, talk to your professor, talk to the health department. I'm pretty sure, your college has a health studies in whatever area. Like, they'll probably be able to connect you. Again, there's a lot of networking in college, so they'll probably be able to connect you with somebody who can help you. If you're in middle school or high school, talk to a counselor, or to a teacher. I know it's hard, but I'm pretty sure that you'd rather talk to your favorite teacher, or your coach, or your counselor, instead of your parents, because a lot of times when you talk to family members about depression, it's a lot harder, because they don't want to accept the idea that you feel a certain way. And and I'm still not getting to the point where oh yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure I remember the other point I wanted to make. But going back to the family, like, don't be disappointed if you feel like they don't understand you. That's not to say that sometimes they won't, but if they tell you, like, oh no, you're not depressed, like, it's all in your head, a lot of the times, like, again, it comes out the wrong way, but you need to accept the fact that it's coming out the wrong way because they love you. As weird as that sounds, it's coming out the wrong way because they don't want to even, put that idea in their head that somebody that they love is feeling so down and so broken. So don't take it personally. Um, yeah, don't take it personally. And then if after a while they still don't get it, then just I don't want to say let it go, but just be okay with it. But yeah, and it goes back to my original, or to my first point in the first place. Like, you can't be better with other people until you're better with yourself. So with you accepting the fact that, okay, well, they at least they know how I feel. If they don't understand that, then at least I understand it, and I'll be able to understand. And I'm able to understand them better because I understand myself. But yeah, going back to where I left off, my senior year, I opened up the first person I opened up to about depression was the last person that I ever thought I was going to open up to. And and he still is. He's one of my best friends in college, or from college. Um, And it was just random. And I don't, it sounds bad saying that it helped, but the reason why that conversation started was because he was dealing with the same thing too. And so, again, we were close friends. So it was just one night, like, he just opened up to me. And then I'm like, whoa. Like, that other, like, mind blown moment, like, whoa. Like, I'm not crazy. I'm not, you know, there's somebody else that has depression. And oh my God. And it's like when you see your friend somewhere and you're like, oh my God, hey, hey. That's how I was. I was like, oh my God, you're depressed. I'm depressed. Let's be depressed together. So it didn't, that's not what happened, but that's basically how I saw it. I was like, oh my God. And so once, like, he started opening up and we were talking, and then I opened up and I was like, oh my God. And yeah, I just remember we were talking for like 4, almost 5 hours, and it was just like, whoa. And after that, I didn't have any issues with opening up to other people about it. And like, I even posted on Facebook about it and I've written about it. And it was just like, whoa, like, whoa. Like, sometimes, like, I'll admit it, like, sometimes I feel like, even though people, act like, they reciprocate, positively, or reciprocate's not the right word, but like they like admire that, they respect that. I feel like sometimes with certain people, I feel like that's not, like, they're being fake. Um, and to that, I want to say, sometimes, yeah, sometimes people will be mean about it. Sometimes, because there's a lot of people who don't feel like depression exists, and again, it does. So if they, it's whatever. If they're like, no, you're crazy, because I've had people who I love tell me, like, no, you're crazy. You need help. You need to go to a mental hospital. You need to, you need to go to a loony bin or whatever that's called. Like, but I've had people tell me that. And again, certain people who I love. So when it comes out that way, it's okay. Again, like I mentioned, you need to be okay with yourself in order to be okay with that. And so before, I would have, took it the wrong way, but now, and again, I'm trying to explain this the best I can. Like, I'm not saying don't, like, I'm not saying that you don't have any right to take it that way, but don't don't let it get to you. Let that push you to better yourself even further, which I did. And before I go to the next part of my story, I want to mention something else. And it goes back, and it kind of helps my overall point that depression is never over. Depression is never over, because once, and a lot of people say, oh, I'm depressed because I haven't eaten today, or I'm depressed because I have to do this. Or again, people might think, like, oh, like with my case, people might be like, oh, well, you were depressed because you had to get used to college and, new surroundings and whatnot. And even though, like I said, like, I don't feel depressed at all. Like, right now, I'm super tired. See these lines? But I don't feel depressed, but I know that I still need to keep on working on myself, because, depression's never over. And maybe if you tell, your counselor, your therapist, your friend, your family member, whoever, that somebody said depression's never over, they might be like, what? Like, they might take it the wrong way, but I hope at least, like, you understand where I'm coming from when I say depression is never over, because it isn't. Because you might not feel, sad one day, but the next day, you have triggers. And, to tell you the truth, we all have our trigger points, those things that make us crack. And it's like we're addicts. Maybe addict. It's too strong of a word, but we all have. I'll go back to trigger points. We all have that one thing that's gonna make us pop, and once we pop, People with depression react worse than people who don't have it. For example, if when somebody special to you dies, of course, on the anniversary of their death, of course you're going to be sad. That's a trigger. You have every right to be sad on the anniversary of a loved one's death. But when you're depressed, those feelings, that trigger happens. It's like 10 times harder than that. So people with depression, they need to keep working on themselves. It's like it's like our health, like our physical health. Like people with depression, they're like athletes. That people who are professional athletes for a living. Of course, like they're fit, but they're not going to be fit forever if they don't work on staying fit. So if you have depression, and yeah, you start feeling better, but you're not going to stay better if you don't continue to work on being better. There's not a solution to staying fit forever. Like everybody, even if you're not an athlete, you have to work on staying fit through exercise, through eating healthy, whatnot. So it's the same thing with depression. You're not gonna stay happy forever, and that sounds really mean, but you're not gonna avoid depression. I guess that's a better way of saying it. Without with just not thinking about it, because you have to think about it when you. Yeah, I keep stopping because I feel like I'm being a little too harsh in the way I'm saying this, but basically, again, I was just go back to what I was to what I was saying. Depression is never over. You need to keep working on yourself, because when you get depression once, it's not like a cold. It's not going to go away forever. It's not going to go away. Yeah, it's not going to go away forever. It's something that stays there. It's like a lifelong disease, like 1, 2, 3. And I don't want to offend anybody, but it's like a cancer. It's like a bacteria. It's like a disease. Like there's not a permanent solution, but there's ways to keep living with it, because it's never over. It's never over. And again, I'm sorry if that offends anybody. And and yeah, but I mean, you clicked on my video for a reason, and this is my story. This is my perspective, and this is how I feel. And again, like I mentioned a little in the beginning, like the way I see depression, like I've read a lot about depression, just because, again, back to my writer's background. And I know a lot of people wouldn't say that. A lot of books and therapists, going back to what I said, that I didn't want to mention which therapist I saw, they kind of a lot of times try to tell you, like, oh, you need to go to therapy, and once you do therapy, like, yay, like depression's gone and whatnot. And again, they don't give you the answer, but that's basically the idea behind, or let that stereotype behind depression. Like, oh, once you once you go to therapy, or once you take medication, oh, you're good, you're great. But again, no, because we have those trigger points, and my trigger point, or when I'm one of, because it's gonna sound very dramatic if I'm like, yeah, just this was my trigger point. Like, no, again, by now, after these 58 minutes, you might, remember, like, hey, my trigger points are that are perfection and feeling accepted and that trust. But going back to that, a couple of weeks after I graduated, and before I went to New York, I was hanging out with one of my friends, and it was I don't remember if it was a Friday or a Saturday night. But basically we were out and about. If you are familiar with Austin, or you've heard of it, whatever. We were basically downtown, and you would never ever believe who we ran into. And we ran into that person from the beginning of my story, that person from middle school who remembered that I said that conversation that we had always stuck to me, where he was like, oh, you think too much about grades. And then that other conversation where like he was like, oh yeah, this is easy for you, and whatever. We saw that person. And that week when we saw that day, or like around that time, it was a few months ago, it was in June, and right now we're in December, so it was a couple months ago. But the headspace I was in, I was stressed. Well, not stressed. I was like worried because I was moving to New York, and I was like, oh, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna be able to be successful? And I felt like it's weird, and it goes back to the whole acceptance issues. Like I felt like even though I was being I was moving to New York, I I felt like even though I was moving to New York and like pursuing a life in the Big Apple, like I felt like I still wasn't good enough, because and like I don't want to go into like the career side of everything, that I wasn't gonna work like in a big company, but like I still felt like ashamed. I felt like even though I graduated and whatever, like I still didn't feel good enough. And it goes back to what I was saying right now a little earlier, that depression's never over. Your insecurities, you need to fight to live. We're always gonna live with them. I call them trigger points, insecurities, whatever you want to refer to them as. But again, back to my point, that people with depression, they deal with those a lot harder. And so to you, you might be like, oh, well, you graduated from school and you're moving to New York and you had a job. Like, wow, like good for you. But no, like, I don't know. Like, it's funny because I'm stopping and I'm talking a little slower now, because I don't know, like reflecting on the experience, I still have to get to the point of. I don't know, like it was weird. Like I don't know. It's weird. Like I don't know if it's because it was him, but I don't know. Like basically, I don't know. But anyway, we saw that person, um, and like I just started crying. I just started crying, and nothing even happened. Like the funny thing is that we were outside, and we were walking, to my friend's car. And well, not we weren't near a parking lot, but we were basically walking in the direction of my of where of we were walking in the direction where we were heading to the car, and that person was walking this direction to the place where we were just getting out of. And how I mentioned earlier that like yeah, we basically had like not every class together, but like 90% of our classes together in middle school and high school. And then I barely saw him in college, and when I did, we didn't even say hi. Like he would ignore me half of the time, and I would be like, whatever. Um, but like, and the same thing happened. Like we made eye contact, but we didn't say hi. But after that, like I just started crying. And my friend was like, "What's the matter?" Like we were having a good time. Like I said, it was like a Friday or a Saturday night, and my friend was like, "What's the matter?" And I just started crying because like that person reminded me of who I wasn't, and who I wanted to be, or who I was and who I wasn't, and who I wanted to be. That person, and again, your trigger point, we all have our different trigger points, but he was my trigger point because he reminded me of the time before depression. Again, I knew this person since elementary school, and I would rarely talk to this person in elementary school, but he reminded me of the person I was. That I was, like I said, happy girl, la 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 la, semi perfect life. Before I started feeling depressed, and so he reminded me of who I was, and then who I wasn't. Because being with depression, and I realized I wasn't perfect and whatnot. And then he reminded me of who I wanted to be. That I wanted to go back to the person that I was before going through depression and getting diagnosed with depression. And so, like, it was just like another, like, mind blown. And again, I hadn't seen this person in a while. And it was just like, whoa, like, maybe my reaction was a little too much. But again, we all have our individual trigger points, and your trigger points might make you, drink alcohol if you're over 18, or they might make you, want to, like, cry and have a long conversation with your friend. But, like, like, whoa, like, that person just does it for me. I don't know, like I said, it's weird that it's that person who, like, was my friend, and we're not friends anymore, but it was that person who just reminded me of everything. And I started crying. And like I keep on mentioning, I was crying because I was realizing that I wasn't perfect. And again, going back to the idea that, your depression's always there. And even though, again, like, all these good things were happening to me, it goes back to another thing. Like I said, you can be in a room with 100 people, but feel like you're all alone. Like, I wasn't getting satisfaction from everything that was happening to me. I felt like I was just doing it because I had to. Just like he told me in middle school, that I was worrying too much about grades and whatnot. Like, it was basically the same thing. Like, I was feeling like a robot. Like, oh, I'm done with school. I have to get a job. I have to move to New York to be successful. I need to do this. And like I said, life was still stressful, but it got, like, a lot better. It's not all. It's not ever going to be 100%. Like, and I know I keep on rephrasing what I'm saying, like, different ways, but I feel like some of the ways that I'm saying it might come off the wrong way. But yeah, he reminded me of what I was in, again, who I was and who I wanted to be. And yeah, like, I guess I never thought about how much, like, how weird, like, that reaction was, that I was just crying. But yeah, wait for a little second. Yay, we're back! And the lighting is better, and I don't look as bad as I looked in the other one, but still, part of the reason why I look like this, I mentioned I've been trying to write, so that's why you see this. But I also wanted to go, all natural, because this video is all natural, it's raw. So I wanted to be how uncomfortable, how it sounds like I said uncomfortable, but I basically wanted to be natural. I wanted this is my hair. It's all sticky. I haven't washed it, and no makeup, and like I said, all this. And my sweater, which makes me look like 100 times bigger than I actually am. And the ankles, like, a lot of people would really work on, like, getting everything perfect, but I was just like, F it, I'm just gonna go. So yeah, but I'm glad at least now it looks like a little better. At least I think so. I don't know, like, yay. Anyway, sorry about that. That was a phone call that I couldn't let go. And yeah, my ringer is dogs. Yeah, because by the way, I didn't know that on an iPhone, like, what I would do, like, maybe I shouldn't say this on video, but when I had an Android, like, I would download, like, those apps, or, like, those things where you can make your own ringtones. So I would always have, like, my favorite songs as ringtones, and now with an iPhone, like, you can't do that. Like, you actually have to buy it, and I'm not gonna buy it. So that's why I just have dogs. Um, but the dog is a metaphor for when people who, you know, just think about it, what what people, the bad word that kind of means that somebody's a dog. That's why I have that sound before when that person calls. But yeah, anyway, that has nothing to do. That has nothing to do um, with the depression story. But hey, why not throw in a little joke in there? Well, not a joke, but something not so sad. Because I was looking back at a little bit of that other part, and I was like, damn. But anyway, yeah. That person, he. It's funny because right now, before I started recording again, I also thought about this other thing that happened with that specific person that I didn't really think had anything to do with this video, but it kind of does because when we graduated, and I feel like I don't want to go like so into this because A, this is not a gossip video, and B, like you never know when this person is gonna see this video. But yeah, the night of my graduation, not his. No, no, yeah, the night of our graduation because his graduation was after mine. And like I mentioned, since this is a really long video, I'm like, let me like repeat a few things because if you're like me, sometimes you're like, So yeah, so I've known this person since elementary school, since first grade to be precise, and we are Facebook friends. So like I said, we would barely see each other, but he knew what was going on. Like my graduation was um my graduation was before his. The way UT does it is it's just graduation weekend. And like the bigger schools, they have their graduations in a specific area and like they're back to back, and then the smaller schools have it in like smaller areas. But yeah, like his was after mine. And then that night he sends me like a random like message on Facebook like, hey, happy graduate, like, well, not, he didn't say happy graduation, but he was basically like, hey, congrats on graduating. And I was like, I was like, you haven't talked to me in years, and like, yeah, even though we've seen each other, like, no, like, don't send me a happy graduation message, like, no. And like, I'm not the type of person that's all about like, oh, I'm gonna delete this person on social media because you've seen those people who have like 100,000 friends on Facebook and like so many followers, and they're like, oh, like at first they're like, oh, I want to get all these people to follow me, I want to get all these friends, but then I want to unfriend them because I don't talk to them. Like, I'm not that type of person. Like, if you look at my social media, and I encourage you to, follow me on. I was gonna mention this in the end, but whatever. Um, Follow me on Instagram. It's at by Ingrid Vasquez. That's BYINGRIDVASQUED. And it's the same thing on Twitter, Facebook, and well, not Facebook, because that's where I only have my friends. Like, I'm not that person who adds everyone. And yeah, I do have just my personal friends on Facebook. Sorry, and also on Snapchat, I only have my personal friends. But on Twitter and Instagram, I'm more open, especially since, like I mentioned earlier, like I'm trying to really better my social media presence. So yeah, so follow me on um, I'm I'm a writer and a journalist, and I don't even know the right words, like how it like follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, you know the deal. At by Ingrid Vasquez. Just do that. Because honestly, like again, like I said, and I'll go back to what I was saying right now, but it's hard to open up to people who you feel that might judge you. Again, because if you learn something from this video, remember that in order to be comfortable with those people, we have to be comfortable with ourselves. But I know it's hard. Like I said, it took me years to understand that. So, feel free to, get in my DMs. How they say on Instagram, like send me a message or send me a message on Twitter too. I used to have my email out there, but then I got a lot of spam, like a lot, and it sucks. And I'm sorry for using bad language. I don't know how old you are if you're watching this, but I hate it because like now I get a lot of spam, and it's horrible because the email that's like my professional email, and like sometimes I feel like because it's so much spam, I'm like, delete, 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 delete. I feel like, I'm missing out on important emails. And so it's stressful, and I feel like I might need to change that email. And it's going to be so hard because, like I said, I'm that person who, like, was always surrounded by people and trying to make connections. So I'm not even kidding you when I say I have, like, almost 600 contacts in my email. And, I'm not going to be, like, sending each and every one of them, like, this is my new email. I mean, I guess maybe you have to. I don't know. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, so I mean, I would be more than glad to send you my email once if you feel like even if you didn't like my video but you feel like, hey, she's gone through it, I can talk to her, feel free to again send me a message, and yeah, then I'll give you my email for sure. Like, I don't mind at all. um and yeah, we can talk that way, or like I said, through message on Twitter or Instagram. I am more than happy to do that. I'm not a licensed therapist, but I actually, by the way, I actually even interned for a mental health association. So I may not be a licensed therapist, but I know a little bit. And like I said, I've done a lot of reading, because I've done a lot of writing about it. So I don't want to say that, hey, I'm qualified, but I ain't too shabby for advice about this. So, like I said, even if you don't like this video, like I would still say, like, back to what I was saying, you still need somebody to talk to. So use me. That sounds bad, but use me just for that. Even like I just want to help. That's the whole reason behind making this, other than the fact that also, like I said, I want to increase my social media. But I really like my idea behind being a writer is I really want to properly represent people. um I'm Latina, if you haven't noticed, and I really want to properly make sure that voice is heard, but also that our voice is heard. People who might be going through depression, because and then I'll go back to the point where I was. But when I opened up to that friend, um, five other people, five other people started opening up to me after I started opening up to the people. So it's just like a domino effect, and like I've been saying, like we can't cure depression, but we can certainly like help people deal with it. So like that person told me, and then he helped me deal with it, and then I helped those other, and I know like, and I helped those other people deal with it. So it's just like person after person keeps helping each other. It's just like a chain, and so yeah, be open. But yeah, oh yeah, that person sent me a message on Facebook, like happy graduation, whatever. And I remember I was so mad, and which you can probably tell that I still sound mad. But I was mad because I was like, you were never my friend. You never wanted to help me. You could have helped me, you know. And it goes back to what I was saying, and to what I guess I still need to understand, that that person couldn't help me because I'm the one that couldn't help myself. If I would have been open, if I would have been willing to be like, hey, we're in college, like, hey, let's talk, whatever, um, something would have happened. So I don't blame that person. Of course, like, Um, I'm still gonna say it. I still feel like it was just like out of nowhere. Like I didn't really know what to think about that message, but I understand that I can't be mad at that person that I wanted to help me because they couldn't help me again if I couldn't help myself, if I couldn't be open with others. Um, and this video is really long, y'all, and I want to end it before my laptop dies. If you heard like the little beep, it's almost gonna die, so I'm trying to get, I'm trying to finish before it turns off, because then this part two is gonna be deleted, and I don't want it to. So I moved to New York. Um, I was there for like 3 months. And like I said, I don't want to elaborate on that. Maybe in another video. But it's almost gonna die. It was just basically money issues, and I had to move back. And then I came back, and I'm still trying. Like I said, I'm trying to go back, but I still need to deal and accept the fact that just because I couldn't make it, it doesn't mean that I won't make it. Just because I fell once, it doesn't mean that I can't pick myself up again. And it goes back to our trigger points. I understand that there's gonna be trigger points, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna last forever. Like I said, therapy helps, and talking about depression helps, and trying to deal with it, and all these solutions, but they're not gonna I just rap I just like they're not gonna be forever. Yeah. It's and I know now I know now it sounds like a little complicated where I'm saying like depression is forever, but then I'm like, no, it's not going to last forever. What I'm saying is not going to last forever are the trigger points, but I'm trying to say that depression as a whole lasts, but those trigger points don't. That's why you keep getting better at dealing with those trigger points. But those trigger points specifically are not going to last forever. So the depression that you're at, the state that you're at right now, that's not going to last forever. But the reasoning behind that state that you're in, like the trigger behind the state that you're in, we need to work on making sure that that doesn't last forever. And I'm telling you, it's not gonna last forever. The trigger point, how you feel. I'm telling you that dealing with the fact that those trigger points are gonna come in from time to time, that's lasting forever. But the state that you're in, it's not. The trigger point is not gonna last forever. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with those trigger points forever, but when they come at you, they're not gonna be there forever. They can go away, okay? But in order for them to go away, even if it's temporarily, we need to work on accepting the fact that they're there, and that we need to be okay. You can be mad, you can be sad, but get over it. Get over it. You need to accept the fact that they're there in order to help others accept it, and in order to help them accept you and help you. Before I end this video, I also wanted to mention music's my thing. So one song, like the song that saved me, and I know that's gonna sound a little like dramatic, but the song that saved me was Andy Grammer's "Keep Your Head Up." It's corny, like, but you gotta keep your head up. Oh, but yeah, like that's what I needed to hear. Like, even if my therapist was telling it to me one way, like I just needed to hear like straight up, like, but you gotta keep your head up. And like listening to that song, like I'm a big rap and hip hop fan, so these songs that I'm about to tell you about, you're gonna be like, but yeah, Andy Grammer, keep your head up. Like that song was my savior. Like that song was the one that was like, that's what you need to do. And then Mano is a rapper from New York. His song All the Above was like my redemption song. Like that was my song that like, you know what? Like I'm dealing with it, and like so what? I have depression, but I've risen up. So that's what Mano's All the Above. Like that's my like. But you know what? Like I might have this disease or whatever you want to call it, depression. But hey, all the above. Like, I'm dealing with it, but I'm able to overcome. I'm able to accept it. I'm able to handle it. And then Jessie J's masterpiece. That's another one that serves as a reminder when one of your triggers gets in front of you, like Jessie J's masterpiece. Like, but I'm still working on my masterpiece. Like, I'm still working on me. Because you are a masterpiece. Jessie J's Who You Are. That song is beautiful. Jessie J's Who You Are. Again, I'm a big rap fan, but these songs did it for me. Jessie J's Who You Are, like that. Damn, that makes you proud to be like, yeah, I'm depressed. Woo! But like, for real, that song is beautiful. Check it out, Jessie J's Who You Are. And the Fray, You Found Me, just a small bit. You found me because in God, and like God was like I said, everything to me, and I'm the person that like every Sunday, I'm like, I have to go to church. You can ask any of my friends from college, like they know, like every Sunday at 8 p.m. I would be at the night mass or the morning mass if there was something going on later that day. Like, I'm very religious, and yeah, like I hated myself. I hated myself for not that I hated God, but I was like, I don't believe in God anymore. And that pissed me off because God's always going to be there. And even though like you're going through a bad time, like I said, even though you're going through a trigger or you're just learning how to accept those triggers and how to deal with them, like God's always going to be there. And like the Fray, You Found Me, I don't know. Maybe I should have looked that up. I don't know what the background behind that song is, but the way I interpreted it was from a religious perspective, where it's like lost and insecure. You found me. Um, yeah, lying on the floor, surrounded. Why'd you have to wait? Where were you? Where were you? Just a little late. You found me. You found me. And I was like, yeah, that's how I feel about God. Like, now that I'm barely starting to feel like better, like why couldn't I feel this way like a long time ago? So I don't want to say I blamed it on God, but like I said, I started to not believe anymore. And oh my god, my hair. Sorry. I'm very big on like hair, and I hate that it's all sticky. It looks, because I usually have it like ooh, and it looks like. But anyway, um, yeah, this song made me realize that um yeah, that my faith was at a bad point, and that I needed to not forgive God, but like accept that God's there, and accept, and this is like, that's all I'm going to say from the religious part, because I know we all have our own religious belief, but accepting the fact that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Things don't happen to you, but they happen for you. So I, like I said, I thought I had and I did, but because technically I did have a really good high school and middle school experience, but um I had a really good middle school and high school experience with others, but not with myself, because again, those insecurities. And then that's why when I realized those insecurities in college, I barely started to learn how to deal with that. And, like I said, deal with the triggers and learn how to, work through the triggers and accept the fact that, the depression was there. So you found me is that song that like reminded me like, hey, God. Sorry, I said I wasn't gonna go back to the God thing. It reminded me that this is happening for a reason. It made me a stronger person. Like I said, I might sound angry about a couple of things, and I feel like I should edit the parts where I talk about certain things. But no, like I said, I was gonna make this raw, so I am. Um, but I'm dealing with myself, and I'm accepting it. And it happened for a reason. It made me a stronger person. It made me realize where I'm wrong, because going back to the perfectionist thing, like like a lot of the times, I didn't want to accept it, that I had this and that I needed to work on it. So it's made me grow, have a bigger and better connection with other people, like even with my friends from back home, and like still trying to maintain those relationships with people from from people with college, because like I said, because of everything that I was going through, I knew that a lot of the times, even though that love was being given to me, I couldn't accept that love because of what I was going through. um so yeah, like it's made me a stronger person. It's made me better. It's made me it, it's made me a better person. I was gonna say it gave me something to stand up for, but that's kind of weird. Um yeah, it's made me a better person, and I hope through this, like I think the hell that I'm gonna have to go through right now to connect these three pieces together, because I don't know how to do that. I don't have Windows Media Maker or any Adobe things. I don't know how to connect these together, but I am. And hopefully, you'll watch this. I'm really, really excited to see what you all say about this, because I really, really was inspired by other people opening up about this on YouTube. And I'm like, hey, let me do my own video too. um, yeah, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. I feel like I'm gonna turn it off, and then I'm gonna be like, oh wait, part four. But yeah, sorry about the whole like I I was planning to make another video, but I promise like other videos that I make, I'll fix this. Um, and and yeah, I don't know what else. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for sticking through this. If you skimmed through the video, I'm sorry, because you probably weren't able to tell which parts were the good parts, because I'm all over the place. But I feel like I mean, overall, I told the story chronologically, so I feel like it had some sort of structure. But yeah, I will end this. Thank you for watching this. Like I said, if you did, if you skimmed, that's fine. Don't leave mean comments. Mean comments are sad. Excuse me, but yeah, I hope this was able to help somebody. I hope this was able to be like a free therapy session, or I don't know. I just, like I said, my whole thing is I want to help people through my experiences. So I do like the writing, of course. Obviously, like I do a lot of journalistic writing too, but I try to do a lot of uh, op-eds. Op-eds are opinion pieces and editorials on these type of subjects to raise awareness. And yeah, so yeah, if you're watching this and you know me, well, you know how to reach me. If you don't know me and you're watching this, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to this channel, because, like I said, I'm gonna be posting a lot of videos if this one goes well. And one more thing. One more thing. Oh my god, I hate how I look. Okay, anyway, one more thing. Okay, so, and again, thank you if you if you've reached this far. I hope, like I said, even if like you hate this and you thought it was horrible, at least I hope it was like at least semi entertaining. Like, oh my god, this person is an idiot. um, but you know how I mentioned that I'm a writer, and you know how I mentioned that I thought like I didn't want to study creative writing or English, because I felt like, oh, I'm not creative and I'm never going to write a book. But I kind of do want to write a book. And I know this is a long shot, but it would be freaking awesome. Even if you don't follow me on Twitter, at least tweet this video to Penguin Random House. They're a publishing house, one of the largest in the US, arguably the largest publishing house. And like I said, I know this is far fetched, but I mean, a lot of the things I've believed in or like a lot of the goals I've had were far fetched, and then I reached them. So hey, F it, I'm gonna say this. Like, I want to write a book. I want to write a self help book. Like I said, even if you don't think this even if you didn't think this helped you, like, at least respect the fact that it might be able to help others, or it might be like, or it might have just been entertaining because I'm weird and whatever. But I really want to write a self help book. I've been trying from time to time to write my book proposal, but it's hard. Like, I've been discouraged because getting a book deal is hard, especially if you don't have a literary agent. But I mean, I've never seen this done, or maybe it's been done, but like nobody, like, it's not public news. But like, please, like, if you have a Twitter, tweet at Penguin Random House. They're at Penguin Random. That's at Penguin Random. Penguin Random, and just be like, hey, check this video out. You don't have to say anything else, but I mean, if they actually do check it out and they listen to all of it, they'll be like, oh, this person wants book deal. And no, before y'all say like, oh, she's just recording this for her own benefit. Like, no, like I said, I want to help people, and I think like the most like gratifying thing for me would be to help people with what I do best, writing, because like I said, I know this video is kind of like, what the so, like, oh my god, like I said, a book deal. Like, I really want a self-help book. I really want to write one. Like, y'all have no idea. Like, that's one of my bucket list goals. And like I said, social media is like boom nowadays. Like, it's like, damn, like all the power social media can do. So just tweet at Penguin Random House. They're at Penguin Random, like that's their little whatever name, and just be like, check out this video, or like, this girl wants a book deal, whatever. Yeah, because I really want one. And like I said, please, don't leave me comments, but I'm really looking forward to reading what you guys write, because I really want to keep doing this, because I feel gratified. Like I said, I still don't know how I'm going to combine the three parts together, but I feel like I was able to do something productive. Yeah. Now I should end this, right? Now I'm just kind of rambling. But yeah, that's about it. Don't forget to tweet, to subscribe to my channel, comment about your own experience. I want to hear what you guys are thinking, what you're doing. And you never know, if I do get the book deal, I'll be more than happy, or more than excited. Well, yeah, more than happy to include y'all in it, like include other people's stories. And yeah, because like I mentioned, it's a domino effect. One person helps another person, another person, another person. And that's how we're able to help educate and raise awareness towards people, for people who are dealing with depression, and yeah, and to help them. So yeah, leave a comment, tweet to Penguin, just forgot, Penguin Random. If you, like I said, even if you hated this video, at least be like, hey, you're stupid if you give this girl a book deal, but she wants one. Like, even something like that. Like I said, I don't know. I've never seen this done, so I'm curious as to if people actually do that. I'm curious as to what Penguin Random House would do. And I really want a book deal. Like I said, I really want to write a self-help book. Like, I really do. So yeah, subscribe, comment, And if you have ideas for other videos, like about how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with trust issues, how to deal with being shy, how to deal with going to college. I mentioned a few professional stuff. A lot of my friends come to me for professional advice, like resumes and interview questions and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't mind at all. I wouldn't mind at all to like do videos about that too. But I know that there's a lot of those, so I don't want to be kind of boring. But I don't mind at all because, as you can probably tell, I'm very like whatever with these, not like other people who try to make everything perfect and whatever. So yeah, tweet to Penguin Random, comment, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's by Ingrid Vasquez. If you forgot how to spell that, it's my YouTube username. And yeah, thanks for listening. Like I said, even if you skimmed through through most of this, at least you got to the end and you heard the most important part. No, I'm kidding. But yeah. Anyway, bye.